gathering up the pieces that I need to get this hub on. I think they're 7/16. Probably the only ones I can get an open end on are these bottom two because they have quite a bit of spacing. But right in here, can't get a box end around that. So it'll be an open end and some handy dandy crescent wrench. Maybe. Nope. Can't quite do it. It's too tight. Where is it? Yeah. Come off. Alright, next up we'll be installing the brakes and the disc brake, which should be attached to the hub here. I'm pretty sure that's it down there. And then the wheel assembly, tire and tube removed for clarity. So hopefully, I assume that rim comes in half and I put the tire on there, rim together, and then I guess inflate the tire perhaps. So we'll see. I got the spindles on both sides. Probably should put the middle piece here, and that'd be the monster shocks. Let's do that. So getting ready to put on the monster shocks. There's a install and setup. It just shows a picture of them. So that looks pretty easy. And this tells you all about them. But in the book, there's a section where it talks about installing spring shocks. And I'm skipping that section because there's a section here for monster shock strut installation, and it shows me what to do, but at first it says I need to level the aircraft. So I assume since I'm getting 4 degrees this way that it needs to be leveled horizontally, not necessarily longitudinally, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to look around in the manual a little bit and see if I can find there's builder's tips and tricks. Maybe there's a leveling the airplane, and if not, I'll just hit up Brandon quick and see what he says. So one little minor discrepancy I have is completing these steps. You get here, you turn the page. All right, if installing the monster shock assembly, skip to page 10. I like that. 8, 9, 10. All right, and here we attach the gear, do that stuff. There's page 11, pictures, and we go to the next page. Now, spring shock leg installation, I'm not installing that, but at the bottom, it almost is if I should do these steps, and then if installing monster shock assembly, skip to page 14. But I think I'm supposed to skip these steps anyway. And I'm going to go straight to page 14. So in the back of the book, I did not find anything for leveling. Option instructions, you go back there. What do they have? We've got all these kits if you ordered anything. Bubble door, like the aluminum tail wheel, trim position, kit installation, and I saw the autopilot servo bracket installation. So they've got good things in the back here. I usually take this as like a manual or a step from start to finish, but sometimes you have to take a moment, stop, and go to the back of the book and see what's back there, if there's something along the way, because I do have I've got the servo in, the trim kit servo, but then I had to get something else in that trim position sensor kit. So that's a separate little kit that I wasn't sure if I had ordered, and may have its own installation instructions, I hope, and I'll have to stick that in. Those are things you're not going to find just in the manual as you're flipping through. It's not going to say, oh, by the way, if you ordered this, you might want to do that now. So I'm going to go to the front. I think there's some builder's tips up front, and look there for the leveling. All right, putting on the monster shocks onto the lift leg and up at the bottom of the cabane. So first of all, I couldn't get that bolt through the black material on the monster shock, so I just called the monster shock manufacturing, and I got a hold of Kelly, and he told me that I can ream it. So I ran a 0.375 reamer through there, and it just went through like butter. So I could get the threads of the bolt through, but not the shank portion. So once I ran the reamer through there, no problems. Over here, I see I've got AN 960-616 and a 616L, which I usually refer to as lean or thin. And you'll run across that in a couple places. So up here, I put the regular 616 on, which is a fatter washer. And I'm going to have to put a cotter key through here. So as I turn this nut, I've got enough space to put the cotter key on there. So it says to use a 616 and a 616L as required. Whereas down here on the bottom, as I turn, I'm pretty much tight right there, and I'm not going to be able to get cotter pin through there. So I'm going to have to change this washer to a 616L for lean. Wanted to give you guys a little pointer. These are the Grove wheels, so I've got to repack the bearing. So I'm going to take the ring out. I'm going to go face down. So I'm just going to flip it over and lay it face down on a towel. Take this plastic peel out. Metal washer. Go face down. There's a felt washer, face down. There's another metal washer, face down, and there's a bearing, and it's temporarily packed. So I'm going to put this in some mineral spirits. I already have another one in some mineral spirits. I'm going to separate this one for the time being until I get the other one cleaned out. Then I'm going to hand pack them. This is the bearing I just took out of the mineral spirits after pulling it out of the other side of the wheel. This is the bearing that I just pulled out of the black side of the wheel. You can see the grease on there, so I'm going to set it in the mineral spirits. And I'm going to swirl it around for a little bit and let that break down. This has been in the mineral spirits for about a minute and a half, and it's just about completely void of grease. Give it a few more swirls. I'll let it air dry next to this other one, and then I'm going to pack it with some Aeroshell 22. For packing a bearing, pack the bearing with the wheel bearing grease by putting a golf ball size lump of grease in the palm of one hand and pressing the edge of the bearing into the grease. Rotate the bearing a little and repeat the packing motion. You should see the grease oozing up between the rollers all the way around. When the bearing is fully packed with grease, put it and the rest of the bearing hardware back into the wheel haft and reinstall the retaining clip, making sure that it is fully seated in the groove. Repeat for the bearing in the other wheel half and repeat the whole process on the other wheel. Here we go. Golf ball size of grease. This is Aeroshell 22. So there's grease seated in every part of the bearing. I can't get any more to go in, so I'm going to call that packed and drop it back into its home. Now I gotta figure out how to take these gloves off with this grease on here. Alright, so I'm going to drop the black side in. I'll probably try to put the glove back on, maybe, or get a new glove. Getting a new glove. You do not want these harsh chemicals coming in contact with your skin, because you'll die immediately. And I don't want that, because I need to fly the airplane. So, perfect. Over torque on the glove. Alright, bearings going in, face down. Then the metal washer. It's going to go face down. Then the felt washer. Then the metal washer. And then this ring, which I'm sure will just go right in. I'm going to put the, it has a square side in, and then it has a side that's got a concave shape on the end. So I'm going to put the flat side in and then walk it around and see if I can get that other side in with a screwdriver. Boom. Got it snapped in. So I'll flip it over. Alright, both sides have been repacked, so let's move on to the next step. Alright, next I'm supposed to remove the nuts and bolts holding the wheel halves together and separate it. Insert a tire tube into a tire, but I don't have tubes in the bush wheel, so I'm going to put this in between the two parts of the tire. I'm going to line the valve stems with dot, press the valve stem through the hole. I don't have a valve stem. Well, there's a valve stem on the tire, but it's up higher. So press the valve stem through the hole in the wheel half and press the wheel half fully into the tire. It's helpful to put a very small amount of air in the tube, just enough to help it hold its shape. Press the opposite wheel half into the tire from the other side, visually aligning the mounting holes. Pass a bolt through the wheel halves and brake disc on the bolt thread. Install the other bolts in a similar manner and torque them to 90-inch spots. So I'm pretty sure I just took a picture of something that said do not inflate the tire more than a pound or something of air. So I'm going to check that quick and then I'm going to get back to the video.